This is Alice Li Hagan. You are watching ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My guest today is a realtor, a senior population advocate, and an entrepreneur with a mission. And of course, he's also a graduate from the UH Shiver College of Business. My guest is Dan Ihara. Well, welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
Now, I know you've been in the real estate business for 10 years, and your expertise is in the senior population market. And congratulations for being awarded that Outstanding Service Award as a Senior Service Special.
Yes, Senior Real Estate Specialist.
Thank you.
Yes.
So tell us, how did you get into this market as a realtor?
Well, as you said, I started about 10 years ago, and early on in my career, we started servicing seniors, seniors who had to sell their home. And the challenge was they had to deal with a lot of those years of collections in their house. And they had a hard time with that. So I started doing it myself. I'd go spend afternoons and weekends there, helping them clear out their house, getting it ready for sale, and then eventually selling it. Though as we got busier, it was harder to do that. And so about 5 years ago, we started a company called Senior Move Managers in De-Clutter, Hawaii. And that company actually helps people downsize and declutter and help them detach from their personal belongings. You know, it's really hard, right? And you're in your 70s and 80 years of age, you've got an attachment to your things, your personal items. And our goal is to help them find ways to ask them the proper questions, to help them and empower them to detach from their things.
Share with us some of these stories, because as you said, seniors, they've lived at one place for a long time. They've collected all these memories and items. How do you actually persuade them to, I guess, get rid of some of these belongings?
Well, it's not so much persuading them. It's, like I said, kind of empowering them. And we do it by asking a lot of questions. So earlier on, one of my big ahas in building the business was I went to this house with this senior who was moving to a retirement community. And she had about 1,600, 1,800 square foot house, and she was going down to about 500 square feet.
Oh, wow.
And so for a person who lived in their home for 40 years, that was tough. Well, I asked her, hey, by the way, what are you planning on taking? And she says, oh, I'm going to take everything. And so I said, oh, really? And so we kept on dialoguing through the process, and then she started telling me about all the different trinkets that she had. She had a huge 15-foot wall of these trinkets that her husband and her collected over her travels. And she told me a story behind every item. And she said, you know, I went and stood in line in Istanbul for this, and I bought this in Greece, and I bought this in Mexico. And she told me stories about why they were important to her. Little known to me, when I came back 2 weeks later, I come to her house and everything's all over the floor. And I ask her, what are you doing? Why is this all over the floor? And she said, oh, I'm giving it away now. She detached from her things because she was isolated. She lived alone, and those things meant a lot to her. 2 weeks earlier, she couldn't see herself letting go. But after she kind of shared it with me, she kind of shared the value with me. And she kind of let go when she shared the value. So it's not so much the money, it was how she felt about it. She was able to share, and she was able to let go. And it was very easy for her after that.
Well, I mean, this is a great story, but you know, when we were upstairs talking, working with seniors could be challenging sometimes. They're older. You need to build that trust with them. Obviously, you're able to make that connections. How do you do that?
First, we just try to figure out what their goal is. You know, what are your plans? What would you like to do? You know, how do you see yourself living in the next 10, 20 years, 30 years? And kind of figure out what's important to them. Most of the time, our clients tell us, you know, I'm not sure if the house is going to fit my needs anymore. In some way, shape, or fashion, that they say, I don't know what to do. Can you help me with that? And so we go in and we help them process. We talk to them about their senior living options, about, you know, what can you do, or where can I go? How much does that cost? What does life look like when I get there? And so we can kind of try to paint a picture as to different places and opportunities for them to live a life in a place other than their home. And then once we get to that point, they say, that might be an option. We'd actually take them there. We'll take them to a retirement community. We'll introduce them to our friends we work with all the retirement communities. And we help people understand that there's a value to this. There's a value to being in a community of people where you have possible like interests, where you have good food, maybe 3 meals a day, and healthy food. Because when you're at home, you may not eat as healthy as you should sometimes. That's why they have those Zippy's coupon, senior coupons, right?
I see. Yes. Yeah.
And so it's food, it's health, it's the physical part, about keeping it in a safe environment. Then it's about the mental side of the issue. When you're isolated and you're by yourself, there's a greater mental decline, basically, and we see a lot of it. And so we're advocates for cerebral stimulation, and that oftentimes comes in socialization, right? Being able to interact and talk to people who, when you go to a retirement community, you'll have 3 meals a day with somebody, and you'll be able to talk to somebody. When you're at home, that might not happen. But most of the communication is really the TV talking to you.
Right.
And then the activities and the shuttle services that those communities offer.
That's amazing. You're offering a complete solution, and let me get back to that in a bit. But in some way, you don't sound like a realtor to me.
Real estate for us is a byproduct of what we do. Yes, it is a big business for us. We have a very large business. And, if I only thought about real estate, I'm not sure if I'd be doing what I'm doing today. But we felt early on that God had us on a mission to help people with life, help people with where they are in the world and where they want to spend the next precious years that they have. When most of our clients are 70 and 80, so they have maybe 20 years or so left. And so how can we make that journey as pleasant as possible? How can we make it safer, number one? Because safety is our first concern. Too many people are having accidents at home, breaking a hip, falling down, getting hurt. And so we want to first make it safe and then make it enjoyable. Right? We see people before they move into a retirement community and after, and they're much healthier and happier. It's pretty amazing.
Now, talking about retirement community, we live on a small island. The real estate is really expensive. Is retirement homes an option, a feasible option for a lot of seniors then?
Many of our clients it is, but it is not for everyone. You have to have the financial wherewithal to do that. And so our clients, often, many of them, their largest asset is their home. And so typically they have to sell their home in order to pay for that long-term care. And so that's what we do. The challenge with the home is their collections, the years of stuff that they've collected over time. And so what we do is we help them process that, figure out where to go, help them actually get there. And then when we liquidate the home, that asset takes care of their long-term care needs.
Now, I know that for the award that you received, which is the Senior Real Estate Specialist Award, you are one of 3 in the nation who got recognized. So is it telling us that there are really not a lot of realtors like you who are working in particular with the senior population then?
Well, actually, there are a lot of realtors. Right now, there's 5,500 just in Hawaii. Though, and a lot of realtors have a senior real estate specialist designation. It's a class that you take. It's a 2-day class. It's not that hard. So there are a lot of realtors with that designation. I think for us, though, we've taken it beyond just a designation to a lifestyle of trying to figure out how we can help somebody and empower them to create a safer environment wherever that might be.
You talk about empowerment and advocacy. Maybe I can ask the producer to show a 30-second clip because you give a lot of presentations, and I think it ties in with your other consulting business, A Complete Solution. Maybe you can tell us a little bit while our producer is getting this video going. all these seminars you did.
Yeah, I started doing
yeah.
seminars about 9 years ago, and we started doing buying and selling seminars from the real estate side, and then a few years after that, we got into senior living options, and we've probably done over 400 of them at this point, and they've all been free. We do them at retirement communities, senior clubs, churches. Have asked us to come. We've been asked to speak at financial planning firms for their clients, First Hawaiian Bank, all major banks in town. AARP, I just spoke at AARP last week. Providing information, and we believe that if you can empower somebody and provide information for them to make good decisions, I think that's a good thing. You know, we're not here to steer them either way. It's just that if they have information, they can make some decisions on their own.
So do you usually work with the seniors, or do you usually work with the family, or is it a joint decision?
Both, actually. In some cases, we work only with the senior. In some cases, we'll work only with the child. In many cases, we'll work with both. Our ideal goal is to work with both. And the reason is it should be a family decision. You know, these seniors raise these kids and now are adults. And now we love to see when the kids come back and support mom and dad and help them with the transition and help them along through the process. So yeah, it pleases us when the family bonds around and supports their parents. Yeah.
Well, as you said, you really take this one step further, even though there are realtors who work with the senior population. Is this more like a social enterprise for you? Or can I call it that way?
Yeah, I guess you could. I never thought about it that way. But we're on a personal mission. We believe God's called us to serve seniors in a way that we can allow them to enjoy the journey, and wherever that may look like. You know, either it be at home or somewhere else. You know, if they think they want to stay at home, I've taken a course at CAP certified, which is a certified aging in place specialist, that I'm educated to help people stay home. And you would think that's kind of weird, right? Because if you're a realtor, why would you want people to stay home?
Right.
And again, it's because if I was only about money and about selling the home, then I wouldn't want people to stay home. Well, we do, because sometimes that's the best place for somebody, and that's what their goal is. And so we'll help them age in place safely. We'll help them declutter their home. We'll help to do a safety assessment on how do you keep that home safe. Maybe add better lighting, maybe putting a ramp in, and we have vendors that do all these things for our clients.
Okay.
Just to allow them to enjoy life wherever they want it to be. Yeah.
Now, the story that you've shared with us, especially this older lady who has all these trinkets that she collected with her husband, are there other stories that you could share with us? Because obviously they come to you, they trust you, and you're able to make that personal connection. Yeah,
there are many stories. One in particular was a guy, I think we were mentioning earlier, that he had put his deposit into a retirement community and was supposed to go, and he didn't go. So the retirement community calls me and says, hey, can you go talk to him? At the same day, actually, ironically, the financial planner calls me and says, hey, can you go talk to him? So we did. We went to go talk to him, and he says, I asked him, I said, so I understand you want to go to this retirement community. He said, yeah, I'd like to go. You know, my wife's got dementia. She is gotten pretty severe, and I think I need to go. I said, so if you know you need to go, why didn't you go? And he says, well, you know, Dan, I don't like moving. I said, oh, okay. He goes, Dan, I've never moved in my life. I bought this home when we were married, and I'd never moved. I don't even know where the first step is. And so we helped him. I said, so if I took out all of those issues of moving away, if I could just take you and place you where you want to be with all the things that you want to have in the places that you want it to be, would you like to go? And he says, yeah. When can I go? It was that easy. In 2 weeks, we had him move into a retirement community.
Wow. How did you do that? I mean, maybe I'll let you finish the story first. So you helped this fellow move. He moved in.
Yeah.
Of course, in the meantime, there must have been a lot of logistics for you to organize.
A lot of logistics. We had to figure out, where everything's going to go. Fortunately, some of their family had taken some things, which is good, and we helped them get it off the property and cleaned it up. We did some minor repair work on the house for him and put it on the market, and we sold it. We sold it very quickly. And he was able to move in and take care of his long-term care needs. The sad part of that story was that about a couple weeks later, he passes away. And it was hard because he did this before his wife, because he loved his wife dearly, and his wife had dementia. And it got severe where she was standing in the middle of her road in front of her house, and she was lost, and she was crying. And he said, "Dan, I got to do this for my wife." And so he was on a mission. It was rewarding in the fact that at the funeral, we went, and their niece and nephews came up to us and says, "I don't think they could have done this without you. In fact, I'm certain they couldn't have done it without you." And the fear would have been if he passed away in the house while she had dementia, we wouldn't be able to get her out of the house.
Wow.
Because she would have thought somebody's trying to kidnap her. And it was tough. And the world we live in, we have to deal with situations like that.
How do you keep going then? Because I know you are out there. Your mission is to help the senior population, but as you said, you have a lot of these stories. It's really sad. So how do you keep your sanity, perhaps? How do you maintain the balance?
Well, I think part of it is health. My wife and I started doing CrossFit, and we were starting to get healthier, and just enjoy the parts of life that you really like to do. Like I surf, and I like to get the energy out that way. The other is we take grieving classes. We've had our entire team take a grieving class because we deal with it, and that's not something that every realtor deals with on a regular basis. We'll go to several funerals a year because our clients are older. This year alone, we'll close over about 90 transactions, 85, 90 transactions, and many of those are seniors. And it's sad when we place a follow-up phone call to see how they're doing and find out they're no longer around. And it's tough. I think the way we have to look at it is, well, did we contribute to that person's life? And if we did, we know we did something good for them. If we can touch their world and make it a better place.
Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. We're coming on a break, so maybe when we come back, I'd like to ask your perspective about what the state could do better in serving the growing senior population.
Okay,
That would be
you.
great. My guest is Dan Ihara. He is part of the Ihara team. He provides a lot, and he also started De-Clutter Hawaii and Senior Move Managers. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. I'm host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. Indeed, we want to make Hawaii the state of clean energy. We talk every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. with people from the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum and guests from every corner of the energy community. We want to make energy the most important thing. It is the most important thing in the state, and we want to make everyone aware of what's going on in clean energy in Hawaii. Come and see us, 4 to 5 p.m. on Wednesday. I'm Jay Fidel. Thanks. I'll see you there.
Welcome back. You're watching ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My guest is Dan Ihara. And prior to the break, we were talking about his realtor business and how he serviced the senior population here in Hawaii. So then you started, well, let's go back to this question of what we can do for our senior population here. Tell us a little bit about our aging population.
In the United States, every single day, 10,000 people turn 65. And in Hawaii, we have about every 1 in 5 people is a senior. In 10 years, it'll be about 1 in 4. And so we have a large population of seniors. About 18 to 20%, right, will be a senior in the next 10 years. And what we see is that there will be this silver tsunami of seniors getting older and older and not really having a place to go. There are a limited number of retirement communities on the island. For example, in Hawaii, there may be a dozen or so retirement communities out of 1 million people. In California, where I have another operation in Pasadena, there are 36 in a smaller space. So and I wondered about that. Why are they not more here? And really the fact is it's economics. The cost of land is too expensive in Hawaii. So many of these large companies just aren't going to come here and start these companies.
I see.
So we're going to have a challenge. What we see is a large number of people aging in place. We see a larger number of people staying home or going to an adult residential care home.
Can you talk about that, the aging in place? And I know that before the break you mentioned, you talked about that acronym, Certified Aging in Place. So you have that certification.
Yes.
So what does that mean, helping seniors to age in place?
Yeah, I mean, understanding how to keep a safe environment for a senior. You know, when we get older, trip hazards are really a concern. So we want to make it safe in regard to that. So our De-Clutter company comes in and helps them downsize and declutter. Though when we get older also, you know, we get arthritic. So when your hands have a hard time moving that glass knob, right, to turn the doorknob, you could actually change that to a lever where you don't even have to use your fingers. You just push down and it opens the door. Your vision gets worse. So you add better lighting, maybe painting the walls, making the doorways a little wider. You know, because when we get older, and if we ever need a wheelchair or a walker, you want 36 inches. Well, many of our spaces are not 36 inches in the older homes.
I only knew about that because recently we were thinking of renovation, and then people told us, okay, you have to have at least 36 inches of walkway. Now, you work with the seniors often regularly, so you know about all their needs, but are we as a state doing enough? Do we have some plausible solution, or not, perhaps not solution, but are we educated enough on what we could do for our senior population?
I think the state's trying to do their best. I think there are things that can be done that might be helpful. More education out in the community, more outreach out in the community, maybe more services available like ours to do that. We started doing this really because we saw the need, and one of the things that we really like to do is do safety evaluations for seniors, and just to let them know, you know, these are things you may want to consider doing.
So is it currently in existence?
Yeah, we're starting to do that now.
Oh, so
yeah.
you're doing it,
we're
but
doing it.
Is there anybody else doing it?
There may be. I'm not certain. I haven't seen it, though I would hope that there will be. Yeah. So those are kind of things that we're trying to do now, and it's, you know, we work with the Office of Public Guardian and the Adult Protection Services and help their clients out in that direction. Though, yeah, it's tough, you know, with the state budget and the financial situation we're in. There's not a lot of extra money to go around to serve those specific needs. You know. The money will go where it's most needed, and until it becomes a real problem, it's really not high on the priority list, unfortunately.
I started become aware of some of these issues about a couple of months ago, and I think I mentioned to you earlier on, I know that a lot of people talked about what we can do to help with our growing aging population, but you're really you're the first one I know who is actually working with the senior population and helping them. But then I know you also mentioned that your whole family, well, your wife obviously is part of your team, but your brothers. Tell us about your brothers.
So I'm the youngest of 6. Yes, I'm the baby. My oldest brother is Senator Alice Li Hagan Jr., and he's a senator for Kamiki-Kapu. He's one of the senior senators at the Capitol now. And he's been an advocate for seniors from a long time ago. My brother Percy, who's the middle brother, does reverse mortgages and has Generations magazine, which is the only senior magazine in Hawaii. And he's been a strong advocate. He's been very instrumental in my growth in the business and advocating for seniors. And we didn't have a plan to do this. It was not part of any master plan. We just all kind of fell through the direction of helping our seniors. You know.
Let me see, producer, do you think it's still, can you still roll that video with Dan showing or at a presentation? When's your next upcoming presentation then?
January 17th, I believe, at Hawaii
okay.
County Retirement Community.
Okay, so how often do you do that?
We'll do one a month at a retirement community, though I usually speak anywhere from 4 to 10 times a month somewhere, either at a church or a senior club or some group of some sort.
Wow. So when you go to these presentations, who are your audience?
Well, it depends. Some in the professional world, we deal and communicate with and then try to educate the trusted advisor. So financial planners, bankers, attorneys who are specialists in their area, and they have a lot of senior clients, and their senior clients may come to them and say, you know, my wife's got dementia, or I broke my hip, or I banged the car, or something of a concern, and they're not sure where to turn to. And so they've started calling me, and they said, hey, can we talk to you about that? And so we do seminars for their office to educate their staff as to the senior living options and how to help somebody get from where they are to where they want to go. And then we've started doing them for even their clients. So some of their financial advisors have asked me to come and speak to their clients, their premier clients. Banks have done them for me and wanted me to speak. And it's really, and we just did one over at AARP. So our mission is really to educate the community as to what are the options, and how do you get there, and how do you make these decisions, and what's involved. Not to make any decisions for anybody, it's just sharing that information. Yeah.
Now, I know that your business is still in Hawaii, but earlier on you mentioned something about your operation in California. So obviously your social enterprise is growing. You're doing it with a mission, and that's why the needs are coming to you. Tell us about your California operation.
Well, I'll start with how all this came about. 2 years ago, we started almost 2 years ago at Keller Williams, and Keller Williams Realty is the largest real estate company in North America. And the chairman of the board, Gary Keller, found out about my model, and up until that point, nobody really cared about my model. And I was with 2 other large firms, and no one ever had an interest in what I was doing. And I just didn't think anything was wrong with that. I just thought that's the way it is. And I didn't really realize what we had until Gary Keller calls me and asked to talk to me, and he asked to share my model with him. So I did, and he said, you know, Dan, I talked to thousands of agents all around the country, and I've never seen anybody do this. And so can you come and talk to people at our mega agent camp? And I didn't know what a mega agent camp was, because
that was last year, right?
That was last year, correct.
Okay.
And my wife and I walk in, and it's the largest room I've ever seen. It was a room of 13,000 people.
Oh my gosh.
And I was kind of stunned. It's like, wow, this is beyond my belief. Anyways, we just had a really nice conversation. He's a down-to-earth guy. He's very smart. He's very business-like, very faithful kind of guy. And he just asked me questions, and I just shared with the company. By the time I got off stage, there were 5 or 6 texts on my phone saying, hey, can you come and tell me about this model? Can you teach me about this model? And then I realized, wow, maybe I can help other people do this. So I became part of Gary Keller's private mastermind group, which is extremely special, because he'll take the top 100 agents out of North America, and he'll put us in a room, and we'll mastermind on best practices, which is just an amazing opportunity for me. And through that, he's asking us to take what we do best and duplicate it and help other people do it. And so last year we started doing that. And we have a small team in Seattle, Washington, which is more of a consulting contract agreement. And I have a real team in Pasadena. And then we're going to build one in Whittier, and then just work along the coast. to duplicate what we do. And I would never have dreamed of this 2 years ago. This has been a miracle for us.
That is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it's really not me. I think it's God that's just saying, I'm giving you this gift, and I need you to share it with others. And I believe that's what I'm called to do.
Well, I think because you do it with a compassion, as we've talked about it earlier, right?
Yeah, I guess.
We're coming on our second break. Now, with this huge project that you're taking on, trying to teach other realtors your business model, I guess if you could share with us what you have in mind for the next couple of years, so we'll continue our conversation then.
Sure.
My guest is Dan Ihara, and we've been talking about his business in helping senior population either age in place or move on to a senior home. We'll be right back.
Ted Ralston, folks, host of our show at ThinkTech Hawaii called Where the Road Leads, where we talk about technology influencing the future of Hawaii. Technology, of course, is the art of solving problems. We always bring in interesting and informed guests who can see from different perspectives and different points of view how that future might unfold and how technology can assist us in getting there. So once again, join us 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Fridays. Ted Ralston, your host. And please, if you have ideas that you'd like us to address on this show or folks who you think should be on it, let us know.
Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My guest is Dan Ihara from the Ihara team, and he is a realtor, a senior population advocate, and an entrepreneur with a mission. Dan, tell us, let's continue our conversation about the businesses that you are building. So you're branching out to the U.S. mainland. How is that working out for you?
It's really exciting. The opportunities are unbelievable at this point because we haven't found anybody doing this model around the country. And so we're starting, again, we have a team in Seattle, Washington. We're spending a lot of time in Pasadena, where we also have a team building there. And in Pasadena, their values are actually higher than Hawaii. And they have a lot more seniors there. And the values near it, left and right, are even higher than that. And so real estate, where we thought Hawaii was really expensive, no, parts of California is even much more expensive.
I've heard about that, okay.
So we, and there's a lot of seniors in those areas. So we're really excited about that growth and the opportunities to just spread from community to community to help with this complete solution in California.
Do you see that there are differences? I mean, even though you may be working with a senior population in Seattle or other places in California, but are there differences from the business model? Would it be a little bit different from what you are used to or familiar with here in Hawaii?
Yes and no. Parts of it will be because of the culture and the community and the makeup of the population. Though we have somebody local there that's handling that end of it, our role is to support them with the marketing, with the model, with the systems and the tools, and support them so they can get a lot of that work done in their community. So that's really not going to be an issue. There are a lot of commonalities, you know. There's a lot of seniors, and they're trying to figure out what to do. The difference really is there's more options for people on the mainland than there are here. There are many choices that they can go to, and most of those areas that we're going to are the affluent areas, and those folks that have homes with $1 million to $5 million homes, or $10 million homes, those are people with money that can go to these retirement communities, and there are many more options for them to do that. So that's the exciting part, where there's maybe 12 here, there's 36 out there.
Oh, I see.
In that same area. So yeah, we're excited about the opportunities.
That's amazing. Now, I know that you work very closely with your wife, and we've talked about that too, because recently I became aware of a lot of family businesses. What is it like to have family members working with you?
It's, how do I say this? There's good and bad with everything. The best part I think about it is my wife is my best supporter. She's my greatest support system. Do we always agree to things? No, just like every marriage and every business relationship. Do we work it out? Yes. And so I'm really fortunate. She's a very smart, compassionate woman and very strong, and is really the pillar of supporting everything that I do. And my niece, my oldest sister's daughter, runs my senior management company, and she's got the biggest heart in the world, and she's very organized, and she's very good at what she does, and so people love her. And
That's great.
and having that family business as a core is really a blessing for us, because I don't have to worry about much other than trying to help coach and train them to move forward and grow.
Well, but obviously you have the entrepreneurial mindset too. How did this come about? Because I know that you've had a lot of different experience throughout your career. How has that helped you with running your businesses right now?
Yeah, I've done a lot of different things. This is like my 6th or 7th career.
Can you tell us what you did previously?
Sure. Out of college, I was an office manager for a construction company. Then I became a general manager of a printing company. And then I went to work at a large firm, Servco Pacific, in the automobile business, part of a family business. And then after that, I went to sell waterproof cameras around the globe.
Oh.
And so I did a lot of sales and marketing all my life, and I kind of got drawn into that and felt the passion for it, and I got better at it. And all of those things kind of helped me build the businesses that we built here, and kind of looking outside the box and trying to figure out solutions for people and things. Yeah.
But obviously you work very, very well with people.
Some would agree. Yeah.
So if there are 3 things that you could say, what makes your work, or what makes your business successful, what would they be?
Number one, I think God really drives our business, and our faith in God. I think the other is the people that we have, and that have the same mission and the same goals as we have, and we have really good people. I place all of the success of the organizations on the people that have decided to come to work with me. It's really not me. It really is not. It's
You're
about
lucky to have a boss like you.
That's disputable, but
Okay.
And then lastly is family. My wife. Yeah, she's just an amazing support system for me.
It's really, really good to know that you're doing so much for this senior population of ours. And I guess the other thing too is I've heard that, okay, many people see it as a challenge, an issue, but I also have heard that, okay, it's an opportunity. You've taken it as an opportunity. So if there are people out there who are thinking of doing something for the seniors, what advice would you give them?
Kind of walk in their shoes, kind of understand what they're doing, what they're feeling, what they go through in life.
Tell us about that training you went to.
Well, I've taken a number of trainings. The most impactful one I took was a class called Old Like Me. And it was an all-day class. They put us in a room that was normal room temperature, and it got really, really cold. And everybody started complaining, and they said, why don't you turn the AC down? And they said, no, because when you get older, this is what it feels like when you get older. Your skin thins out, your dermis skin thins out, and you get cold. And sometimes you can't control anything. Right? So that was part of that process. Then they made us put a blindfold on, walk all the way across the room, and get a hot cup of tea. And so you had to use your finger to tell how deep the tea was in order to take it and walk back. Because if it's too high, you're going to spill it and burn yourself. They made us put these goggles on that would distort your vision so you couldn't really see. They made you put a glove on your non-dominant hand and write a check, which was as long as a line. You had to write every letter. And that check took me about almost 15 minutes to write, because I couldn't see and I couldn't hold the gun, because it was like having a stroke and you have to use your non-dominant hand. And by the time I got to the end, I was just sweating. It was like, oh my gosh, it was so stressful. And they said, this is how it might feel. if you were a senior and you had these conditions. And so to ask somebody to write a check, and if they take a while, understand why it takes a while. Right? Understand what they're going through. They made me go in a wheelchair and go to the bathroom, and it was in a hotel, it was not ADA friendly. And so I got there, I couldn't wash my hands because you couldn't reach the sink. Yeah. And so it kind of made you walk in their shoes and understand what it feels like if this were to happen to you or to anybody. And I think that helps with understanding and being more compassionate. Most people, when you're with a senior, you'll walk ahead of them and they'll say, well, why don't you just catch up? Well, it's not that easy, right? So you kind of got to walk at their pace, walk alongside them, take your time, even when talking with them. You know, you can't rush through things because their processing won't move as quickly as you would think, right, as others would. So having something visual helps. So when we do our planning, we have a calendar that looks like a calendar. It says, this day we're going to do the painting, this day we're going to do the flooring, this day, you know, so they can visually see it, and in their mind, it looks familiar and comfortable. And if you can help people with that process and make them feel comfortable, then they will. And then it'll be less stress for them. If they're uncomfortable, it adds stress. And anytime stress happens to somebody, it's unhealthy, physically and mentally and emotionally. People will get sick with stress, with too much stress.
Right. So it's empathy and being compassionate and lots of patience.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, going back to your business, you're growing your operations on the U.S. mainland. What other plans do you have for you? Because I think you're always thinking of, okay, what can you do better? That's how it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's a problem that I have.
You see that as a problem?
Yeah, well, I don't know. My wife sometimes does, because I'm always coming up with something to do. So our goal is to expand, obviously build our business here, and it's, you know, we've got a very nice, large business here on the real estate side as well as the senior move management side. And also, what we want to do is create a nonprofit organization, and it's going to be called Silver Spoons. It will happen this week, 2015, and it's really designed to take care of people who cannot take care of themselves. So this came about maybe 2 years ago, and we started servicing Catholic charities. We started servicing clients from APS and OPG. Government agencies that serve people who cannot take care of themselves. And they said, you know, your service is great, but I have clients that just can't pay for it. And because we're a for-profit company, it's really hard to do that. And so we said, well, what if we created a nonprofit organization that could take care of these people, that could be funded by people who care for seniors? Give people an avenue to give back to the community through serving seniors. And so it's going to be called Silver Spoons, and we're really excited about that, creating that nonprofit entity to serve seniors. And it's really about safety. You know, we'll go to homes and complete hoarder homes, or what we call trail homes, where there's a trail. So have you heard of that term?
No.
So trail homes is where there's a trail from the door to the toilet, to the sink, to the bed, to the refrigerator.
Okay.
Everything else is covered.
Oh.
On the floor to the ceiling could be covered with stuff. If you've seen the show Hoarders,
yes.
The guy on the show, he spoke to us at our convention, and it's real, and it happens. And this is the world we live in. We see a lot of it. And it's an illness. We just try to, we want to make it safer, and that's our mission.
So do you see that a lot of seniors, you see that happening among seniors?
Oh, yes, most definitely. A lot of it's due to a loss, so they're holding on to something, and there's something is just, you know, sometimes trash, but they have a hard time letting go with things. And so that Silver Spoons will be there to help these people who can't pay for it. They say, you know what, we're going to spend 2 days here, and we're going to clear this house out for you. We're going to make it safe. And then we leave and try to make sure and check back with them over time to see, hey, how are things going, you know. So, you know, if we touch one life during this, I think we've done our job, and I think we'll touch much more than one because of it.
I imagine you would.
Yeah, we're really, really, that's what I'm most passionate about at this point, is creating that Silver Spoons. And I'm hoping to get some help doing it through the community.
This is a great place to talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So you say you're trying to do this sometime in 2015.
Yes.
So how would we find out about it?
You can contact me via email or text or phone, and we can connect you to the people that will try to help drive this Silver Spoons project for us. Yeah. We're really excited, and we're looking for people who want to be part of that.
It's great to have a passionate and dedicated and committed entrepreneur like you on my show. And of course, you're also a graduate from our college. So then good luck with all your business and entrepreneurial ventures. Hopefully, maybe in a year or two, I'll have you come back and talk about Silver Spoons.
That would be great.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
My guest is Dan Ihara. He is part of the Ihara team, and we've been talking about real estate and senior population here in Hawaii. This is the end of our show, and I would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, since we will not have live webcasts in the next 2 Thursdays. So we'll see you in the new year. Aloha.